YouTube. So yesterday, I submitted my intro video to what my channel was actually changing into. I was sitting there trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about today for my weekly, kind of talk. And just an FYI, I don't have a script in front of me. I'm not reading anything. If I am looking away, it's because I'm looking at my computer screen. It's not intentional or on purpose. My camera is set eye level with me. It's just kind of, to me, it's a little bit harder to stare at my camera, I guess. Because my camera's just not that entertaining looking, I guess. But so I got to thinking. I got asked a question last month. It was right before my birthday. I had a cousin of mine who was trying to find himself, and he was asking me if I had any suggestions to him as to how to find himself and how to make changes in his life. Because he was just going through a rough patch. Not a big deal. And every one of us goes through what I like to call the in-between phases. Because we all have stages in our lives where we know who we are, then we don't know who we are, and we have to make a change. And then we know who we are again, and then we have to make a change. And normally those are transitional periods, i.e. graduating high school, graduating college, going to basic training, hitting 21, hitting 18 years old. Peer pressure moments when people are pressuring you into smoking or drinking or whatever it is that you want to, that they're trying to pressure you into doing. Those are moments that define us. And those are moments where we have to dig into ourselves and figure out who we want to be and the type of person that we want to be. So I got to thinking about that a little bit. And first off, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself and who I am. I am Cody. I'm not gonna give you guys my last name right now, but I am a father of two. I am a former soldier or a veteran of 8.5 years of service. I'm a former military police officer. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm an ass. I'll claim that one. Because some of these titles that we have for ourselves, or the hats that I like to call them, that we wear, are our titles and stuff like that. And when it came to me trying to find myself, I had to dig deep. I had to think about just the generic terms. Who am I? When people look at me, who am I? There's a sociologist that actually studies what's called dual coats, or a dual-coated mentality. And it's the idea and premise that, I want to say, it's not Weber, and it's not Marx. I'm trying to remember this guy's name, but he was talking about how you couldn't wear the same hat at school that you had to wear on the streets. Excuse me. You had to conform to the areas in which you were in. You know, to some people, you know, when they're out on the streets, they have to be badasses or gangsters or whatever it is that they want to be. Well, when they're at school, they have to be an intellectual. They have to think about what they're doing and think about what's in front of their faces. So, what I found was I had to break myself down into titles. And the titles that I actually wear are father, husband, son, because my mom's still alive, my dad's still alive, so I am a son to somebody. I'm a student, well, was a student. Now I also identify as an artist. and a couple of different titles and stuff, but how do you find yourself in that mix? My biggest recommendation for you is to write it all down. Take a pen, grab some paper, write them all down one by one. What titles do you wear throughout your day? What titles do you wear when you wake up in the morning? What does your morning routine look like? Are you one of those people that wakes up in the morning, drinks a cup of coffee, smokes a cigarette, and then gets on with their day? Or are you one of those people that first thing you do is you hug your kids and just start going on with your daily stuff, trying to get them around for school or trying to just get them up and going for the day? Are you one of those people who just doesn't wake up in the morning and wakes up in late afternoon, and when they decide to get going, it's just party, party, party? It's up to you. But when you're trying to find yourself and trying to make those changes to yourself, what I found works for me, and it may not work for everybody, is I write them down, and then I circle the ones that I want to keep. I circle the titles that I want to keep, or the hats that I wear. And naturally, if you start putting your time and energy into those titles or into those hats, the internal changes are going to happen, and the external changes will come naturally, and people will start to notice the changes going on about you, and they'll start identifying you as what it is that you want to be envisioned as. It's called a dual consciousness. Dual consciousness, as a dictionary definition for it, is being able to look at yourself from not only your perspective, but being able to see what society sees you as. So when you're making those internal changes, naturally your exterior is going to change. Whether it be your personal appearance, or your mannerisms, or how you treat people, or how you address people, or just overall what you talk about to people. Some people are obviously more comfortable talking to people than others. There are some very shy people out there, and there are some people out there that are very outgoing. I'm very outspoken and outgoing. I have no problems talking to large numbers of people on stages. I've done it before. Speaking at local high schools on behalf of veterans and stuff like that, talking about what it was like to be in service, or what lessons I learned when I came out of service type thing. So I have no problems talking to people. And for those people out there that are afraid to talk to other people, I want you to think about two things. Alright, the first one is, when you talk to a person, if they shut you down, that's the worst. That's the worst that's going to happen. But if you talk to somebody and they reciprocate, then you're better off than what you started. So if you have a fear of talking to people, just remember that if they say no, you're just in the same spot where you started. Don't worry about rejection. And that goes for guys chasing girls, girls chasing guys, whatever. Don't be afraid to talk to people. That's how we communicate. That's how we do things in life, is to communicate. And if you're afraid to talk to people, or afraid to get out of your home, or let people into your lives, just remember that no matter what the outcome is, you're going to be either in the same spot that you were in when you started, or you're going to be better off. One of the two. The other thing is if you're afraid to talk to people and you're just afraid of getting beat up or whatever, I mean, today's society's pretty screwed in the head, if you ask me, as far as people and firearms and stuff like that. In the Army, what we used to say is everybody puts on their boots one boot at a time. And so it means that everybody is on an equal and level playing field that you are. So, and then when it comes to, when it came to altercation or standing up for yourself, we would all always say, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get your ass kicked, essentially. Because honestly, I mean, other than a few stupid people out there in this world, that's the worst that's going to happen if you ever get into an altercation. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get knocked out, you're going to end up with some bruises, you're going to end up with some broken bones, but at the end of the day, you're still alive. So you can swallow your pride and go about it that way. Yeah, that shit sucks and it hurts, but at the end of the day, most people don't want to deal with death. Most people don't want to be murderers, most people don't want to deal with the police department, that kind of crap. So a lot of times, you know, when it comes to altercations and physical violence and stuff like that, a lot of times it won't escalate up to death. It'll only escalate to a knockout or whatever. And I, just real quick blurb, I'm sorry if I'm rocking back and forth. I am a fiddler. I'm actually currently playing with a pen. I have a really nasty habit of playing with things. So if I'm rocking back and forth, I'll try to stop myself, but I am a very fiddly person. I like to fiddle with whatever I have in front of my face, or rock back and forth, or whatever, to be honest with you. So, anyways, for those shy people out there, just remember it's not a bad thing to open up to people. It's not a bad thing to let somebody in, you know, because if you let people in and you talk to people and stuff like that, chances are you're going to make some friends. And friends can be pretty valuable. Friends can be actually invaluable to your life and livelihood. You know, I'm speaking from experience on that notion. When I was 17 years old, came out of basic training, about less than a month after I got out of basic training, my dad had kind of hinted that my home was not the place for me to stay, and I actually ended up moving into my best friend's house. And his mom had ovarian cancer, but their family was so gracious that they let me in. They let me live with them. I was working. They helped me get a car because I didn't have one. Even though it was a pretty messed up car, in a bad situation with the car, it wasn't their fault. It was overall just the situation. But I ended up getting raised most of my high school life by my friends' families, or by my friends and living with my friends and stuff like that. So I have to personally say that friends can be invaluable to your situation. Somebody to confide in, somebody to talk to, can help out a great deal when you're going through bad situations. Whether it's depression or just you dug yourself into a rut, or maybe you're dealing with alcoholism, or maybe you're dealing with drugs, or, you know, girlfriend broke up with you, whatever. You know, those are bad situations, and friends can help. Friends can help it get better, unless you have terrible friends, in which case it's time for you to find new ones, and it's probably time for you to take my advice and just start talking to people. Or you can just drop a comment on my page and I'll talk to you, because I care. It's not that I want to hear the latest and greatest as far as drama or gossip or anything like that. It's just, I'm one of the few people out there in this world that believes that all lives matter, and the last thing I want is somebody to end their life for a stupid reason. And in my personal opinion, all reasons are stupid. I've lost a lot of people to suicide in my lifetime. I've lost a lot of people in my life, period. Obviously, like I said, I've not lost my family, my parents, my mom, or my dad. But I did lose a mom, my best friend's mom, the one that had ovarian cancer. You know, to me, she was a mom. And she was right there encouraging me to graduate high school, even though she knew that I didn't have anything holding me in school. I didn't have anything telling me that I had to go to school. or that I had to wake up that day and go to work. I didn't have anybody like that. Like I said, I didn't live with my dad, and my dad didn't have much input into my life at that point in time. And then furthermore, you know, I moved back in with my dad for, I think it was like 2 weeks before my graduation. And the day after graduation, when my mom was actually jumping on the plane, my dad told me I had 1 week to get out of the house. And I ended up homeless for about a year. Moving back and forth, couch surfing from one of my friends' house, ended up living with a girlfriend of mine that wasn't that serious. I got wrapped up in a lot of things, whether it was drugs or whatever, and at that point in time I had already been in the Army. I had already went to basic training, but I was marked down as a loss in the Army. My reserve unit at that point in time had disbanded, so I didn't have any reason to go to drill or anything like that, and I just kind of lost track of my dreams. But it was my friends who helped keep my head above water. You know, it was my friends that took me in when I didn't have anybody to turn to. So my recommendation to anybody that's afraid to talk to people is to just open up and talk to people, because at the end of the day, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to end up in the same position you started out in. I would much rather have a friend. And that's just me personally. I got lucky, have my wife. My wife is my best friend. My kids are my best friends. And then I have quite a few other friends that I still talk to from back in that time frame. Kudos to them. But as far as making changes to yourself and finding yourself in those in-between stages, like I said, the best thing to do, grab a sheet of paper, grab a pen, write it down, figure out what titles it is that you thoroughly enjoy. If you're trying to find yourself and you're a dad and you really love being a dad and you love wearing that hat and you love being a husband just as much as you love being a worker or whatever else like that, start putting more attention toward your family. Start hugging your kids more. Start spending more time with your kids. Start spending more time with your spouse. Stop watching my YouTube video and go actually do that, please. You know, family is very, very important. Especially when it comes to spouses and kids and stuff like that, because our kids are the next generation. So I'm going to leave you on that note. If you want to make a change, find those hats, find those titles that you appreciate. Put more time and effort into those hats and those titles to better those titles, and eventually the changes that you're wanting to make will come naturally, and people externally will see that, and it'll cater to your dual consciousness. You'll be able to see that other people see you as, you know, if you want to be that family man, they'll see you as that family man. If you want to be a hard worker and a family man, then you're going to place your attention in both fields equally, and people are going to see you as not only a hard worker but very family oriented hard worker. You know, so if you want to make those changes, it's all up to you. I mean, nobody else can make those changes except for you. So make them. You know, don't be held back in life because of other people's perceptions of you. Be yourself at all points in time and be who you want to be. More than anything else, be who you want to be. If you are not happy with yourself, make that change. And I can guarantee you more people are going to encourage the change than not. Anyways, do me a favor, hit that Taco Bell button, and you'll be able to see when I put more content up, whether it's video gaming stuff, comic book stuff, or whatnot. As soon as I get moved, actually next week's videos will no longer be in this office. I will be in my new office, hopefully. So you'll see some wood paneling and probably some comic book stuff up on the walls. But go ahead and hit that Taco Bell button, subscribe. Please leave a like on the video. And, you know, I'm in the business of making friends. put a comment down in that comment section and I'll respond to you. Or you can just, I can leave an email in the description, maybe. I don't know if I trust that yet. But at least leave a comment in the section and I'll get in touch with you. Alright? Enjoy your week, YouTube.